Welcome back, Warriors. I'm your Quartermaster yet again, and it's great to see y'all. Welcome to the 27th video of my Weapon Workshop series. In this tutorial series, I look at all the relevant statistics for all the weapons we're supplied with for this 2042 conflict. Mind you, some of the info on the weapon crates ain't exactly accurate, so that's why I'm here to test them out for you and get you the most accurate info available. On top of gathering info, I also give y'all my 3 suggested builds taken in the field for dealing with all manner of combat situations. Today we're taking a look at our 4th SMG, the K30. The K30 is based on the American Chris Vector, a submachine gun with a very high rate of fire that can be chambered in a number of pistol caliber rounds. The K30 has a base high-powered magazine with 20 rounds with one in the chamber. As such, this magazine will be the basis for all ammo comparisons with this weapon. According to the manufacturer, the K30 has the fastest rate of fire on the battlefield, and while this is technically correct, only one ammo type surpasses the rate of fire of the AC-9, which sits at 1,069 rounds per minute. In regards to these high-powered rounds, it ain't even close, coming in at only 952 rounds per minute for the K30. However, much like the AC-9 and the MP9, the ranges on the K30 are very short. From 0 to 39 meters, we deal 18 damage per shot. Next, from 40 to 49 meters, damage drops to 15 before reaching our minimum damage of 13 at only 50 meters. Damage with this weapon gets very low, very fast. Using these stats, we end up with a TTK that ranges between 315 and 411 milliseconds. And in headshot, the same as with the MP9, does not affect our TTK in the slightest. The next ammo type we have access to with the K30 are subsonic rounds. These rounds have a slower rate of fire, a slower reload, and reduced ranges while giving us advanced stealth capabilities. These rounds fire at a slightly slower rate of fire of only 902 rounds per minute, and the ranges are in fact shorter. From 0 to 29 meters, we deal our damage of 18, a 25% decrease to this damage range. Next, from 30 to 49 meters, damage drops to 15 before again reaching our minimum damage of 13 at 50 meters. Overall, unless you're using a specific suppressor, these rounds are just the worst version of the high-powered rounds. Using these stats, we end up with a TTK between 332 and 466 milliseconds. Headshots still don't matter. The final ammo type we acquire are the standard issue rounds. These rounds have an increased rate of fire, a slower reload speed, lower recoil, and a 100% increase in available ammo. In regards to the fire rate, this is the ammo type that surpasses the AC-9, coming in at 1,090 rounds per minute. The ranges on this ammo are also shorter than the high-powered rounds. From 0 to 29 meters, we deal our maximum of 18 damage. Again, a 25% decrease to this damage range. Next, from 30 to 49 meters, damage drops to 15 before again reaching our minimum damage of 13 at 50 meters. These rounds have the same range as the subsonic rounds, but with better stats everywhere else. Using these stats, we end up with a TTK between 275 and 385 milliseconds. Headshots are still irrelevant. Just as with the MP9, we have 3 different suppressors that affect our TTK and damage output. There's the 6KU suppressor, the PB Heavy suppressor, and the Type 4 Heavy suppressor. The PB Heavy and the Type 4 Heavy both claim to pair with the subsonic rounds to make your hits undetectable by the enemy. These, however, will cost us a good deal. Let's look at the 6KU suppressor first, though. From 0 to 39 meters, damage drops to 17 per shot, not affecting our TTK at all. Next, from 40 to 49 meters, damage drops to 14, which now costs us an extra bullet here. Lastly, from 50 meters and beyond, we deal only 12 damage, changing our 8-shot kill to a 9-shot. As such, our TTK is negatively effective beyond our maximum damage range. Using a 6KU suppressor makes our TTK lie between 315 and 504 milliseconds. And in a headshot doesn't change anything up close, but it will reduce our shots to kill by 1 for the 14 damage range with no change beyond that. This change might as well be negligible. Next, let's take a look at the ranges on the PB Heavy suppressor. From 0 to 39 meters, damage drops to 15 per shot, increasing our shots to kill by 1. Next, from 40 to 49 meters, damage drops to 13, which now costs us an extra bullet here as well. Lastly, from 50 meters and beyond, we deal only 11 damage, changing our 8-shot kill to an awful 10-shot. This will obviously affect our TTK across the board. Our TTK now lies between 378 and 567 milliseconds. A headshot does not matter until the target is beyond 50 meters, where it will cost us 1 less bullet, making our TTK sit between 378 and 504 milliseconds. This attachment is just awful every time I see it. Lastly, looking at the Type 4 Heavy suppressor, it's basically an all-around better version of the PB Heavy. You get all the same benefits when used with subsonics, but your damage isn't affected as much. Looking at the ranges from 0 to 39 meters, we deal 16 damage to the body, which is still cost us an extra bullet. Next, from 40 to 49 meters, damage drops to 14, which will cost an extra bullet again. Lastly, from 50 meters and beyond, damage drops to 12 per shot, turning our 8-shot kill into a 9-shot. While all these damages are still worse than without a suppressor, they are at least better than the PB Heavy. Using these stats, we end up with a TTK between 378 and 504 milliseconds, and in headshot will reduce our shots to kill by 1 up close and at medium range without any change beyond 50 meters. This changes our TTK to be between 315 and 504 milliseconds. For my recoil test, I fired 20 rounds from each ammo type at 15 meters, which is well within our maximum damage range of the K30. Looking at the ammo comparisons, there is much more spread than you reasonably expect at this distance, but they seem to be a trade-off with the K30's very high rate of fire. Overall, however, the magnitude ain't all that high. Even the difference between the ammo types isn't anything remarkable. Looking at the barrel options, we can see that most of the barrel options, aside from the Arcom Tactical Muzzle Brake, reduce our recoil in some capacity, but not all these attachments were made equal. Some, like the Warhawk Compensator, increase our already very wide bullet spread, while the Tactical Compensator does the opposite. And to no one's surprise, the Champion Muzzle Brake does the best job of tightening spread and reducing recoil. The underbarrel options are next, and the main function of these is to reduce spread, which the BCG seems to do very well. I was surprised at how wide the spread was with the MGL laser. Also, for shits and giggles, I threw in the bipod, which is undoubtedly the best, but also very situational. Looking at our hipfire, the K30 looks to have the best hipfire in the game. Even the LS1 laser doesn't improve our spread all that much. Despite the smaller reticle, the actual plot of the LS1 is almost the same as without it. For my first combo, we're going with the best build for up close and personal fighting. We start out with the 8R hollow sight for the finest close range optics technology. Next, we use the standard issue extended magazines for a 100% increase to our ammo capacity, reduced recoil, and increased rate of fire at the cost of reload speed and maximum damage range. After that, we strap on the BCG light grip for that increased aimed accuracy at the cost of hip fire accuracy before ending with the Champion Muzzle Brake for reducing our overall recoil and spread with basically no downside. My first combo, the Ripper, is essentially the best aggressive K30 out there. The standard issue extended mags give you plenty of ammo without any of the downsides of running the drum mags. You still get 40 bullets to spray at your enemies, and that should be more than enough to handle most fights. The BCG grip and the Champion Muzzle Brake work well together to drastically reduce our vertical recoil while simultaneously cutting our bullet spread. Despite the BCG making hipfire worse, the hipfire on the K30 is already fantastic, so this is an area that can be slightly sacrificed. You can of course use any optic you want, but given the higher spread of this weapon, I like using the 8R hollow because the larger circle reticle gives a good representation of where your bullets will be flying. This build is great for an aggressive medic who needs to get into the fray to save their allies. My second combo focuses on stealth above all else. We start with the 8R hollow sight again for all the same reasons as before. Next, we use the subsonic ammunition for increased stealth abilities at the cost of rate of fire and range. After that, we use the LWG grip for improved mobile accuracy at the cost of static accuracy, and we end with the Type 4 suppressor for its improved stealth effects when paired with the subsonics without sacrificing too much damage. My second combo, the Whisper, is built for stealth and is very much a kill one enemy and reload type of weapon. The 8R hollow is still preferred for me with this weapon given its spread, even if the LWG grip does help to mitigate this. The subsonics don't give you any more ammo than the high-powered rounds, but they're both quieter when paired with the Type 4 suppressor, and they don't provide any damage indicators to your enemies. You'll want to use this build on the periphery of an allied assault or on a flank of the enemy lines. It won't serve you too well in a straight-up slugfest. Get to the side or behind your enemies, you can pick them off up close with impunity. And there you have it, folks, all the stats you need to know and the best builds to properly utilize your rapid-fire and compact American K30. It's a rapid-fire, low-damage SMG meant to be spammed out at close range. The Ripper will have you tearing into your enemies at close range with plenty of ammo for multiple foes. The Whisper is for more special operations where you don't want to be going toe-to-toe with that many enemies at once. I did my best to give the most accurate stats on my personal testing of these weapons on the orbital testing range. So with that, what do y'all think of the K30? How do you feel about it compared to the AC9? I personally still like the AC9 more, but let me know down below. And so if I did a good job today with this briefing, be sure to leave me a like and subscription to show the major that you want more statistical briefings just like this one. And with that, I've been your quartermaster. Until next time, I will see you later.